Welcome, everyone. My name is John Strauss, and I'm a volunteer with AARP Illinois and also a proud longtime supporter of Steppenwolf Theatre. I'm so excited we're together today to be hosting this wonderful conversation. I'm pleased to introduce our special guest, the Artistic Director of Steppenwolf Theatre, Audrey Francis. Welcome, Audrey.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me.
AARP Illinois is proud to be a sponsor of Steppenwolf's latest production of No Man's Land. We thought it would be great to bring this opportunity to you and hear more about Steppenwolf and, of course, No Man's Land. Let's get started. Audrey, you're quite the professional. Can you share a bit of your experience, what exactly is an artistic director, and how you got involved in Steppenwolf?
Yes. My experience is I have been in the theater industry for almost 20 years now. I started as an actor. I since became a director and an educator and a professional acting coach. And essentially what the job of artistic director of Steppenwolf Theatre is me and my fellow artistic director, Glenn Davis, we're in charge of making sure that we're holding the space for our ensemble of 50 living artists to be able to use Steppenwolf as their artistic home where they can flex all their creative and risk-taking muscles. We program the plays that we put up, and we try to have, look at the entire season and say, what voices are represented? What kind of stories are these? What do they feel like? What are we offering our city as a love letter? And then we steward those plays from page to stage. We build the teams. We do our best to support the artists who are creating those stories. And we do our best to support the audiences who are coming to engage with that work.
Audrey, I know there's such a history of Steppenwolf Theatre. We'd love to hear how it all started and how you not only get the amazing actors and theater professionals, but how do you even discover new talent that perhaps get their start on the Steppenwolf stage?
Okay, well, John, you are very familiar because you've been with Steppenwolf from the beginning. But Steppenwolf is so cool. It's got such a great story because it was 3 teenagers who were friends in high school and college, Gary Sinise, Terry Kinney, and Jeff Perry. And they essentially started doing plays in the basement of a church in Highland Park. And they were good. And they all worked together. And then they started doing plays with their friends that they went to school with. And that nature of doing repeated work with the same people started to breed a level of excellence, right? Because if you trust the people that you're taking risks with, you can get to extraordinary a lot faster. And so these artists who were also friends and who were not afraid to be brave and courageous and provocative in the way that they were telling stories, they ended up becoming entrepreneurs. And they created Steppenwolf Theatre, which is now approaching its 50th year. So that's how Steppenwolf was created. And since then, there's been an ensemble of artists who's been created over the 50 years that are now reaching 50 ensemble members. And once you're in an ensemble at Steppenwolf, you're here for life. And it's a really huge gift as an artist to be invited into the ensemble, because essentially it means, hey, those core values in which you're operating and creating are the core values that are in alignment with ours. We're doing it different. We all have a different way, but we have the same values of what it means to be honest and brave on stage. And when we look at who's the next generation of artists who are going to set the tone and raise the bar, we do that in a lot of ways, but I can speak specifically. I am always going to see the storefront theaters in Chicago. That's how I cut my teeth. It's how I came up. And Chicago is just brimming with talent. And so I do the best that I can to see as many theater shows in Chicago as possible.
As the artistic director, you must be constantly looking about what's next. What do you look for in the play that would be worthy to bring it to Steppenwolf?
I think that it has a lot to do with time and where the world is, right? Like at this moment, it's not lost on me that we've had a tough few years. And I think all of us are seeking, myself included, a sense of humor, a sense of hope. And that right now, we're trying to be in conversation with that and also upholding and maintaining the integrity of Steppenwolf's artistic standard of excellence. And I think what Steppenwolf is known for primarily is our acting. But it's not just that. It's the sets, it's the costumes, it's the lights, it's the spectacle, it's the direction, it's the writing. And so the thing that's so awesome about Steppenwolf is like, okay, we have this killer group of artists, and we're going to do, I believe that we are leaders in the industry. We innovate, we push the boundaries. And so I'm looking at those two things when I'm reading a play. I'm thinking, where is the world right now? And what is our community kind of saying that it needs? And also, what does Steppenwolf do the best? And how can we bring those two things together? So I think as we programmed this next season, we've programmed it honoring that we all could use a healthy dose of humor and hope, but it's Steppenwolf. So you're never going to walk out of there and not be challenged. We're not here to entertain. We're here to engage in really cool, exciting conversations that peel back the layers of who you thought you were, what you expected from yourself. And every time I see a Steppenwolf show, I walk out learning a piece of myself that I didn't know existed. And I'm challenged in a way that I want to talk about it. So when I read a play, if I'm nervous, if I start sweating, if I laugh out loud, if I keep turning the page, I get excited for our group of artists to tackle that work.
You started to talk about the ensemble nature, and I want to ask you to go a little further about the process of putting the show together. For example, working with the director, which you've been a director, on the sets, on the lighting, on the costumes, on all of that. Does it matter in big play, small play, large cast, small cast? What's the behind the scenes like at that?
Yeah. Well, I think what's so exciting about Steppenwolf's ensemble is that it is, we encourage each other to be multi-hyphenate artists. So in the old days, in the very original days, somebody would be an actor, and then the next play they were the director, and then the next season they were the artistic director, and then they worked as the dramaturg. So I think we all come at it as a team, as saying, look, where can I step in and lead? Where do I need to step back? And where is it my moment to assist and be supporting? And I think that nature of working in that way, it's not easier. In fact, it requires much more discipline and courage and generosity and collaboration. But what ends up is it makes the work more joyful for me, because we're collectively working towards something for the greater good to offer to our city. So I think that's kind of the ensemble nature of working. And you know, there's a lot of people that you can't trust when you work with. And so it's really helpful to be an ensemble where it's like, hey, this doesn't feel like it's working. So we need to like have a conversation about that and figure out how can we all call each other in instead of call each other out.
Okay. Looking at the current situation, let's talk about No Man's Land. The opening night preview is tonight. How are you feeling about it? How are the rehearsals going?
I'm feeling pretty awesome about it. So tonight will be the first time that they have the live audience. So they'll have 2 weeks of previews where they can kind of practice. They can see it with the lights, the costumes, the set, in a house full of audience members. So I feel really excited about it. And this play, talk about an intellectually athletic play. And we have two of our veteran ensemble members, Austin Pendleton and Jeff Perry, who's one of the co-founders. They're on stage in these remarkable roles. And when Glenn and I first took our positions, we instantly got contacted by Jeff and Austin, and they said, these are our dream roles. We've always wanted to play them. We're ready to do it. And this is the time when we're available. And so, of course, it's like, yes, we make that happen.
We have a clip of director Les Waters talking about No Man's Land from his perspective. Let's play the clip.
When I was a child, or like a teenager, and would go down to London, I saw a couple of Pinter productions at the RSC and was just intrigued by them. And they kind of lodged in my brain as mysterious, enigmatic, but hilariously funny plays. The original production was a very famous production. It has two extraordinary roles for older actors. The show's set in a room, a kind of rather magnificent, large room. In the house lives a man called Hurst and two other men who are, what their role is isn't terribly clear, but they look after him. And into the room, well, he's invited into the room, is a man called Spooner, who claims to be a poet, maybe a poet, and he slowly invades the territory. Somebody asked Pinter, what are your plays about? And he said, they're about the weasel under the cocktail cabinet. It's right. That there's something lurking somewhere that could do you an awful lot of damage. I hope the audience find it very, very funny. The language is very quick-footed. It moves around very rapidly. And I hope the play makes people lean in. I do hope it kind of worries people.
Wow.
Woo!
Mr. Waters gives us a bit of the synopsis, but if our audience has never heard of the play or doesn't know anything about it, what else would you share about it?
This to me is one of the coolest expressions of language. When I see the actors on stage, I can see how Pinter became one of the iconic playwrights who is all actors want to do Pinter because we want to see if we can handle it. And it's not like, if I'm really honest, it takes me a long time to get up to speed with Shakespeare. And I'll be sitting there and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. And maybe like 20 minutes in, I'll understand. It's not like that with Pinter. For me, it's like, there's this dynamic, athletic, creative, and clever nature to the language where these men are wordsmiths and they twist their knives into each other with their words. And you can see that their intellect is the currency, but it's never inaccessible from my perspective. And it is what Les says. It's like, I compared when I reread this play, I was like, oh my God, this is Pinter's version of Succession. Mm-hmm. And it's this idea of like, where do you belong? What is your worth? What was your worth? What do you think it is now? And what is your place in this moment, in this social construct? And what does it feel like to battle with feeling like you're not in, like you don't know what's going on, like you're being talked at or around, and what that actually can do to your worth? And to, I think the version to me is the antidote to depression is belonging. And at moments you can see that these people are fighting to belong and to have their place, and you can tell when they don't and what that costs. And then like Les said, there's this weasel who comes in who you think isn't quite a threat, and then you realize, like, what is going on with this guy?
The cast of No Man's Land is stellar, to say the least. You've already told us how it sort of came about, but why do you think that Austin and Jeff have such great chemistry?
They're old friends. I mean, they've been doing this together for 40 years, and you can see that. And I think that's what I think is so special about Steppenwolf, because when you see artists together who can trust each other to take risks, and they listen and they feel safe. And then we have two other extraordinary actors, Sam and John, who come in and they have that same fervor, and they're bringing a whole new energy into it. So it's this beautiful conversation of the generational tension, and also what it means to have known someone for years and not.
AARP was interested in sponsoring this play because it has older adult characters at its core. It really is a generational power struggle, as you suggest, between young and old. Why do you think this is a great play to showcase older adults?
So one of the brilliant things that Les said on the first day of rehearsal is he said, and Les is in his 70s, Austin is in his 80s, and he said, you know, in this industry, as we age, we're often asked to play roles after you get to a certain age of like, oh, I'm the bumbling grandparent, or I'm sick and I'm ailing in the corner. These roles are amazing roles. I mean, a 20-year-old would want to play them, a 40-year-old, a 60-year-old, and they are demanding. They are so demanding. And it's so awesome to watch Jeff and Austin just kill it, because I think it really confronts the ageism that exists in our industry and saying, just because you're older doesn't mean you can't be a badass. And that's what these roles are.
Okay. Lots been written about the playwright Harold Pinter and what no man's land means or could mean. From your vision, what do you think he really meant to convey?
So I think there's a million different interpretations, but when I see it, I almost feel compassion for Pinter, because when I see it, I've heard that they say a version of hell is being confronted with who you could have been. And if I really were to get out of the, like, zoom out a little bit, it feels like 4 versions of Pinter, all at different moments in his life, if he would have made a different choice. And so in particular with the characters of Spooner and Hearst, I think there's a question of, you know, they're both poets and they're both successful, but that means nothing now. And I think that at the end of the day, it does put into question, what have you valued your whole life, and does it still hold water now that time is running out?
Sure. So getting to the obvious, if someone in Chicagoland area wants to see No Man's Land from July 13th to August 20th, right?
Yep.
Tell us how someone can check it out.
Go to www.steppenwolf.org and just click on No Man's Land, and it's very easy to buy tickets. You can also call Steppenwolf. I can say this again because you know I don't have the number up right now.
Well, that's okay, but let me interrupt you because I have an important announcement to make.
Oh, good.
AARP members, you're very lucky because Steppenwolf has generously agreed to give a 25% discount on tickets for No Man's Land, specifically to AARP members. To get the discount code, visit our website at aarp.org/IL to get the details. Again, aarp.org/IL. No Man's Land is the end of your season, and the new season is coming up in the fall. Can you give us a teaser on what we can see next year?
Oh my gosh, yes. So we've got an awesome season next year. Again, like I said, there's a healthy sense of humor, hope, and always being challenged. We've got a Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, Martina Mayock, is launching the season with a play called Sanctuary City. It has a conversation about what it means to be able to call a place home, call a friendship home, what it means to be able to dream, and what it means to be a citizen or a non-citizen. We've also got POTUS, which is about the 7 women who are frantically trying to hold up the president, who has just said something in a press conference that has blown the day apart. That's a huge farce. It's an amazing comedy. We've got a world premiere by Brandon Jacob Jenkins called Purpose. That's got, all shows have a bunch of ensemble members in them, but Purpose is a really incredible, funny, smart story about a Black family in American politics. And then we've also got a Thanksgiving play by Larissa Fasthorse. She is a Native American writer, and it's a story about an institution trying to put up a Thanksgiving play when they don't know any Native American artists. And another world premiere called The Home What Howls. That's for our SYA series. Again, it's a conversation about home and what is home and what does it mean to own something? What does it mean to fight for something? And our final play is an untitled play because it is a new work that is still being written by Samuel Hunter, directed by Joe Mantello, starring one of our OG ensemble members, Laurie Metcalf.
And aren't you acting and directing next season?
You know what? Whoops. Yeah, I'm directing POTUS, which is so fun. And I also get to be in the Thanksgiving play. So I'll get to be a director and an actor next year.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Audrey, this has been just a delightful conversation. You're a delightful person, and our congratulations to you and No Man's Land. Any final words you'd like to share?
Come to Steppenwolf. We're so excited to have this partnership with AARP, and we couldn't be more thrilled to be part of your weekend, your weeknight, whatever. Just come take in art with us and have a conversation and a drink at the bar.
I want to thank everyone for joining us today. A very special thank you to Steppenwolf Theatre and its artistic director, Audrey Thompson, for joining us all. Achieving your best life at 50 plus is so much more than simply enjoying good health or financial security. These days, living life with vitality is an equally important part of being 50 plus. With 1.7 million members across Illinois and over 28 million across the country, AARP knows that older adults are optimistic, motivated, open to new interests, and brimming with what's next strategy. That's why we are excited to partner with organizations like Steppenwolf to offer those 50 and over and their families an opportunity to experience some of Chicago's best. Thank you, Steppenwolf, for providing the wonderful experience for older adults eager to give back, see the world, and be relevant. AARP works hard to make sure the 50 plus lead rich, full, and fun lives, and today is just another example of that. We have much more to come, so come back. Visit us at aarp.org/IL to see a full list of events. Have a wonderful time, and thanks again for joining us.